Welcome to Grounded Spirits Podcast, a place where we're learning how to stay rooted while flying high. I'm your host, Laura Lynn, and this is the first time that I'm doing video, so I don't know where to look. But I think that it's important because every time, well, actually not every time, a long time ago, before I started doing these book series, I would just talk about my spiritual growth and document it here on the show and tell you what I've been learning that week so that hopefully you could learn from it as well. And then I kind of stopped doing that because it started getting really personal and I didn't really want to share that much. But now I feel like I'm at a place where I kind of have to be personal because we're talking about dreams. So I could pull out all these books, which I have, and say oh, this book says this and this book says that, but I even have a nightmare book. But I feel like by doing that, you could go and read the book. I feel like for the Emerald Tablets, we really did need to go through it line by line to understand. But for these books, I think we're better off. I feel like you'll learn more if I actually tell you about my dreams and how I interpret them. I am a dream interpreter, so I'll get into my story a little later. But I think that it's important to actually have this video so that it could feel like if we're FaceTiming and you're telling me your problem about dreams, and then here I am ready to help, So that's why I'm doing it this way this week. The other thing that I want to introduce to Grounded Spirits is to pull a tarot card. This is my deck. There are the cards. You can even see it on this side, all the different cards. They're really pretty because they have gold on them. And if you're not watching this, I'm glad that we could still just do it how you would still hear me the way you used to. Nothing's going to change that way. So yeah, let me just get a little bit more comfortable here. I also just want to show you my setup really quick because I actually have this really cool mic. So wanted to show you that. So yeah, I'm not gonna stop for commercials because I'm doing this on Riverside, so I'm just gonna let it go all the way through, and we'll just see where we end up. So first, let's get the cards. I'm just going to let already a card popped out. We got, I think this is death. So we'll see what that is. So many cards already popping out, but I put them back in. You can't even see it. I'm sorry. Let me bring this down. So I want you to see my eyes. We'll get better as we progress, but maybe I could just sit back a little bit. As I get better at this video, because like I said, I haven't really done this. I usually just talk to you on my phone. But like I said, it's all about starting new things, getting ready for new things. Maybe that's what this death card means, that it's the death of the old grounded spirits, where we just have it all. Ooh, another card fell on the floor. I have this card, so it is the Knight of Cups. I'm going to try one more time, see if anything else pops out, and if not, we can go from there. Also, I think the reason why I'm doing this tarot is because I know a good amount, but I wouldn't call myself a tarot reader. Not like I call myself an astrologer or I call myself a dream interpreter. With tarot, no, it fell. With tarot, it's more of, I'm still learning, so we could learn together. I got the Fool. That's kind of cool. This means new beginnings. I've been painting all day, so if you see my fingers, they're all paint. Yeah. I'm going to do it one more time. I don't know why. I just feel like I should. But it doesn't seem like anything else is popping out. But I feel like these are good cards. But what I was saying is that I'm still brand new. not brand new. I'm still learning tarot, so I'm going to be using my phone for it. So what I like to do is just go on ChatGPT. I have the app on my phone, so I just put it in. So actually, I'm gonna ask it. Is tarot card 13 death? I'm pretty sure it is, but we'll see. Yep, it is. And it says that this card represents transformation, change, and the end of a cycle. Rather than a literal death, it often signifies the need to let go of something to make the way for new growth and opportunities. So it's actually really cool because if you follow me on Instagram today, I posted a story that last night I had a dream that I could talk to these bees and these flies, and then I died like immediately after. And I was like, not like scared, but I was just like kind of weirded out. Like, why did I have this dream? That also kind of goes for any, like, if you have a dream that somebody else dies, it's along the same lines. It's just a part of you that needs to die or that is in the process of dying. I feel like that's a better way of saying it. So with this one, I think that it was talking about like the me that just would talk on my phone, like that part needed to die for us to go into the next step of grounded spirits. I didn't mean to make this about me. I thought I was very clear about doing it for the collective, about starting our new experience on dreams. But I feel like since it is about me, since I am the host, did I introduce myself? Hi, I'm Laura Lynn. I'm the host here, and we're talking about dreams. So yeah, you can kind of see it here. So this is like the old you that is dying. And then the new you is coming in. See, notice like the white. And actually this is really important because I feel like a lot of us think that we're full of darkness. And so that's like, he's all dark, but he's on a white horse. So that means like you're coming into like new opportunities, into good things. And then this guy, he's just like ready. He has like a little gold, he's probably like a bishop or something. But yeah, so there's that. Then we have the Knight of Cups. Knight of Cups. And this is talking about being emotionally driven. This card often suggests messages, offers, or proposals, usually in the realm of emotions and relationships. The Knight of Cups is associated with creativity, imagination, which we need to understand dreams, and a quest for emotional fulfillment. It can indicate someone who is in touch with their emotions and intuition and who may be on the journey of self-discovery or pursuing a heartfelt goal. Okay, so this is actually really cool. So it's like the old part of grounded spirits is now dead, with like only doing audio, because it's saying to go back to what we were doing originally, which was to have this journey, to go on this journey of self-discovery. That was the whole point of it at the very beginning. And so that's what this one's saying, like, come back to that, because that's how you were able to fill your cup. So I feel like this is kind of directed at me, but I feel like it is also for the whole of what's going on with grounded spirits. And so then the Fool, this one means to start new things, but I'll put it in here just to see what it is. So yeah, the Fool represents new beginnings, spontaneity, and taking a leap of faith. It is often associated with the lens of adventure, potential, and the start of a journey. The Fool is considered to be outside the traditional sequence of the major arcana, symbolizing boundless possibilities and the start of a new cycle. So yeah, I feel like these are really perfect for what is to come on Grounded Spirits this season. Cool. So something that has been coming up for me a lot this week has been the consequences of unintended actions. It comes up in this book. I talked about this a little last week. The Geography of Genius, and he says it in the way of that you never know what's going to happen, so you kind of have to just let yourself be. He talks about it specifically with Brunelleschi, and so in case you don't know, Brunelleschi is the one who built the dome in Florence. And if you look at any dome in the United States, so like the Capitol building, for instance, they were all modeled after his. And the only reason that he did that was because he lost this competition. Well, he didn't lose, he tied, and they were like, oh, you guys should do it together. And he was like, absolutely not. And then that's when he decided to like go after what he actually cared about, which was architecture. And that's how he ended up doing it. So here we go. It says, this is on page 128. One day I decided to visit the Duomo, which is what he created, and see firsthand what all the fuss is about. Climbing the circular stairs, marveling at the impossible genius of this design, I find myself thinking about the law of unintended consequences. We usually view unintended consequences negatively. Some new technology or scientific development doesn't turn out as planned. It comes back to bite us. Air-conditioned subways raise platform temperatures by as much as 10 degrees. So it's like all of these things that happen. I'm going to keep going. It says, revenge efforts is what science journalist Edward Tenner calls these phenomena. The law of unintended consequences cuts both ways, though. Sometimes disaster has unexpected benefits, and sometimes what looks like defeat is actually victory in drag. So then he goes on to say, like, if he had won this contest, he would have never gotten this, and he wouldn't be known as a genius. And I think that kind of goes in line with our cards. So you think that death is something bad, but that is how you're going to be able to fill. So here's like the emotional part, the waterfall, and then that's how you're going to be able to fill your cup. And then that's how you can start new. When you die, you start again. And I think that goes to show, like, I feel like so many of us, and me included, we try to be perfect. I'm gonna get a little more comfortable. We try to be perfect because we don't want to be reprimanded. We want to make sure that we're good so then no one can say anything. But I think people are always going to say something. So why are we trying to limit who we are? Because by limiting ourselves, we're only hurting ourselves. And I've had so many people here on the show talk about how the worst thing that you could do, or the most selfish thing that you could do, is hide your true light. So then why do we still do it? I've been doing this show for like 4 years, almost 4 years, like 3.5. And since day one, I've been wanting to get out of my shell and be able to live authentically. And here I am 3.5 years later, still wanting the same thing. So it's like, what is holding me back? And astrologically, it all comes down to my Chiron. It's in my 7th house. So it's like a community. It's like, I feel like I can't fully express myself because then I won't be loved. And so but then the whole thing with Chiron is you have to go through this bad part so that you can then help other people. So that's like why I'm talking about it right now, because I'm like, I hope this will help somebody out there eventually. But yeah, like, it hasn't been easy, but I think that I can give you a lot of cool tips on how to do it. And so lately, what I've been learning is to go with the flow and to know that I'm not going to get in trouble, to know that I'm going to be safe. And now tying it all into dreams. Before, people would say that your dream just is a mixture of a bunch of random ideas. A bunch of random images that come up and that your brain tries to create a story out of. And that's why they're so random. But then, actually, along with those lines, they also said that it was your short-term memories becoming long-term memories, and then that's how the images would come about. But then I read the book The Alchemist, and that book was talking about this dream that this guy got, that he ended up going all over the world to try to fulfill this dream. I'm going to ruin it for you, so you might want to skip ahead. When turns out that the gold was right there within him the whole time. And not necessarily even within him, there was like actual gold, but it was like in his original city. He didn't have to go travel the whole world. But that one, the person that he went to go to interpret his dreams, she said like that dreams are, I don't even have the book on me, so I couldn't even read it for you. But she said something along the lines that dreams are either the language of God or they are the language of the soul, which in my view, they're the same because your soul is just a piece of God. If you want to learn more about that, here's my book, Monterey, where I go really in depth with that and what that means, that you are a part of God and that God is a part of you. But so what I think is that the soul does give you these messages through your dreams so that you can learn from them. And then Betty Bethards here, she says that you have dreams to self-love, to learn how to love yourself, and that we don't need to suffer to know ourselves, that it should be an enjoyable experience. And so that's really what I've been learning recently, that I have to just be me, and there's going to be like the law of unintended consequences. Oh, so that's the cool thing, is that I saw it in that book. Then I saw a whole episode about it on Good Place. Then it came up in one of my classes. I'm taking a mixed methods class right now, and she was talking about it. And there was like one other place, and I'm like, okay, this is something that the universe wants me to pay attention to, this law of unintended consequences, that no matter how careful you try to be, there's always going to be something that's out of your control. And the thing is that that is okay. And so I have been having so many dreams. I talked about this a little bit on my Instagram stories recently, but I'm going to go more in depth with it right now, that I keep having these dreams where I'm in a moving car, and it's either that I'm moving backwards or that I'm going downhill. But I keep hitting the brakes and nothing happens. If anything, it goes a little faster. And I have just been so confused because, like I said, I'm a professional dream interpreter. Oh yeah, I was going to tell you a little bit about that. I started because I got really good at astrology, so I started doing readings. And then people would tell me about their dreams just naturally. And I would be able to interpret it for them, either based in astrology, or if they pulled a tarot card, or just like looking at the symbols. I realized that the symbols that come up in astrology or in tarot also are the symbols that are coming from the dream, which would make sense because these are all forms of divination. And so it's just God. So why would he use a different language for different things? You know, it's the same language. So that's how I was able to figure it out. Numerology is also a part of that. Or even like looking at the colors of the chakras. Betty Bethards talks a lot about the chakras and the colors, and she actually has like a whole list back here on all the different chakras and like what they mean and what the different parts of the dream mean for that. But yeah, I keep having these dreams and I didn't understand. And it all boiled down to the fact that I just need to loosen up and have more fun. That I have just been stressing myself out, doing things that I think that I should be doing, quote unquote, when it doesn't even matter. Like if I'm just being myself, I posted this other thing on social media. I have a different account called Publish where I post all my art. And there was this beautiful little baby sea turtle, and he's like swimming along. Well, not swimming, he's like moving on the sand, and he created these like really beautiful spirals on the sand. And I asked my followers on there, do you think that this is art? Is it art by just being yourself? Like he was literally just moving across and he was creating these like beautiful spirals that I would consider art. And I think that that is what has been the biggest lesson here. With this law of unintended consequences, that why are you trying so hard to draw in within the lines when you could just be yourself and create art? You could just be yourself and film this podcast thing. Yesterday I tried really hard. I had like a whole set list. We went over, I might post it one day, but it was awful. Because I felt more like a college professor than just like hanging out. Like the vibe that I'm going for with Grounded Spirits is just like friends, chilling, maybe looking at some water, looking at some trees with a stack of books and smoking. Like that's the vibe that I want here. So why was I trying so hard to like teach you all about the phases of dreams and the structures of dreams and the levels of dreams and the types of dreams? Like, who cares? It's not like I'm going to quiz you on these things later. Like, let's just have a chat. And that's like what the whole point of Grounded Spirits was from the very beginning. But from the very beginning, I would sit in a really dark room just talking to my phone, and it was like that. And so I think that's why we got this death card, that I don't have to hide anymore. And I hope that you are also realizing that you don't have to hide anymore, that we can just be ourselves and we can just be. Bella Spree, who is the producer of this show, I've been trying to get this slogan, but I feel like it sounds mean. But I really want it to be Bella Spree, stop trying, just be. Bella Spree is more of like the organizational part of everything. And so if you think about it, like why would we have to create all of these boundaries or all of these different things? If all of us could just be ourselves, then we could bring out that good part about us, and we wouldn't need to have all these rules and all of these things that don't end up working out. Like, I'm thinking of the justice system. We have these rules so that people won't do bad things, but people still do bad things. So clearly it's not working. So clearly the only thing that would work is getting to know yourself, getting to have this like inner knowing or inner doing the inner work is what's going to help you be yourself and allow that goodness to come out. So yeah, that is the part that I've been learning. So let me read you what Betty Bethards talks about here. That's so cool. I literally flipped right to it. So this is on page 15, and she says, most dreams are showing you fears and limitations that impose upon yourself, that you impose upon yourself. So it's something that is like super scary. And if you remember, like way back when we did that series on the game of life and how to play it by Florence Scovel Shinn, in that book, she talks about how if you can actually face your fears, then they won't happen. So like, for instance, this lady was really afraid of this ladder that was in front of the bank. So she didn't want to go to the bank, but she needed to go to the bank to get money. And she was so afraid that one day she got up enough courage to go to the bank, and the ladder was already gone. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, even Taylor Swift has this. She says something along the lines of that your enemies will beat themselves up before you have a chance to throw the first swing or something like that. But yeah, so that's the whole point, is that something that could be really scary in the real world won't be as scary in the dream world because you can control it. You can control everything about your dreams. And if you don't know how to control it, you should check out my book, Learn to Dream. I'm doing a whole series on it on Bella Spree's TikTok right now, so you can look and see what's inside of it. But this will take you from not being able to remember your dreams all the way until lucid dreaming. So Betty Bethards here, she talks about your dreams show you your worst fears and limitations so that you can learn to overcome them. They help you recognize the importance of facing your fears. As you do, you discover a deeper level of insight, beauty, and joy within. You are free to create your own heaven or hell on earth, but it is just as easy and a lot more fun to create your own personal paradise and to share it with others. So pretty beautiful there. And then she goes on to page 52, where she says that you do not have to suffer to grow. This is not what God intended. And this is all coming from her channel. So she channeled all of this information. She says, it should be delightful to learn about yourself. You are all going to make mistakes, and some things will seem awkward and uncomfortable at first. But if you can go out as children with eagerness and curiosity for learning, you will begin to understand what a wonderful adventure living really is. And I thought that was just so beautiful, that God wants us to have fun. So why do we torment ourselves and sacrifice ourselves? Like, for what? What's the point of sacrificing? Because we think that if we sacrifice, I'm like fixing my shirt, sorry. We think that if we sacrifice right now, then we'll be able to have more fun later. But then that fun never comes. So what's the point of sacrificing? So what I'm saying is that we don't need to sacrifice. Like, we're done sacrificing. Oh, and then that also reminds me, you have to look at your parents or your caregivers, whoever raised you or whoever is closest to you. They will project, and they don't mean to, they love you, but they will project their limiting beliefs on you until it is so deep within your own program that you don't even realize it. And so I'm going to tell you what mine are. So with my mom, let me preface that she's a Capricorn sun, and she believes, and I've never talked to her about this, so I could be wrong, but whether she believes this or not, this is what I have learned from her, that you have to work hard in order to gain love, in order to receive love. If you don't work hard, then you're not worthy of love, and so you're not going to get it. And so, like I said, I don't know if that's true for her, if that's what she experienced, but that's what I have felt. And for the longest time, I was building up these businesses so that I felt that I could receive her love. And then one day it just dawned on me that I don't need to do anything and she would still love me. Same with my husband. I don't need to do all of these things and he would still love me. The people that are in your life will love you just for being you, not because you're going to have this money or to do all of these other things. Just by being yourself, that's all that you need to do. So that was a really big lesson. And then from my dad, it was that how do I put it? Basically, it's around going deep with love. That love, I think the limiting belief is that love is shallow. But I know that he wouldn't word it that way because I know that he does love me. Okay, here we go. This is what it is. And actually, I just talked about my husband. I just talked to my husband about this earlier today. That my dad and I, we have a hard time showing our love versus, like, this is how I found I'm all over the place, but I found a really great, and I'll show it to you on here right now. And if you aren't watching this, then I'll put it on Instagram. So if you're listening to it, you can go check it out there. But it's this like iceberg that says, so the top of the iceberg says, my love that I always explain to you, and my love that I can't explain to you. So there's, like, my dad and I, we have such deep love for our family, for each other, for ourselves, but we don't know how to show it or how to explain it or how to, like, what to do with it. Like, it's just under the water and we don't know how to bring it up. Hey, that's kind of funny because that's like what we're talking about with that. Back to our tarot cards, the one with the Knight of Cups, that's what he's saying. It's all about emotional fulfillment. And so maybe that's like what we're going to be talking about today, going more deep into how to allow these emotions to come out. Oh, and this is a great segue into another dream that I had recently. So it was like a neighbor's party. It was like a little kid party, but I didn't know half the people there. But it was my husband's family, like his extended family, like aunts and uncles and cousins. And then it was my family, like my nuclear family from before I got married. So that's interesting to say it like that. So maybe like my maiden name family. I don't know how to say it. Because when I think about my family now, I think about my husband and my kids. By the way, I don't have human kids. I was talking about my dog kids, but they're my kids and I love them. But Oh yeah. So anyway, so we were at this party. This is a dream that I had, and I'll actually talk about the phases of dreams by telling you the story. So before I go in that, let me just show you where I'm getting this information. It is by an author named Silvana Amar, and the book is called The Bedside Dream Dictionary. So that's what it looks like. And in this book, she talks about the 4 phases of dreams. And turns out this is Carl Jung's work. And Carl Jung was a psychologist, I believe in the 60s. We could look him up really fast to make. Okay, so he died in the 60s. So like 50s then, or like 40s. But yeah, so he was a Swiss psychologist, psychotherapist, psychiatrist, but he was an astrologer too. And he was really into dreams. And so he looked into people's dreams and came up with these 4 ways that dreams are categorized. So the first one is phase 1. And phase 1 is just like setting the scene. So you'll instantly know where you're at and who you're with, which is why I said like it was my husband's extended family. And it's not like I could see every single one of them, but I knew that they were there. And that's what's really cool about our energy, that even when we don't see the people, we know that they're there. And sometimes I'll tell my husband that like, oh, like I had this dream and I never saw you, but I knew that you were there. Or I knew that this person was you, even though he didn't look like you, I knew it was still you. And so I think that happens a lot in dreams, that you get more of a sense. But in dreams, we know more about the essence of people rather than actually being able to see them. So back to my party dream. So have a party. I'm at a party. There's a bunch of different people. Everyone's there. Everyone's having a great time. And so that was my phase 1 of the dream, that you know where you're at and you know who's there. Even though I had never seen this place before, and at one part of the dream, it kind of felt like my old house that we sold recently, actually now about a year ago. There was a part of the dream where I'm like, oh, like this is what they did with the Redlands house, but it didn't look anything like it. I just remember that one part of the dream. But what's interesting is that in phase 1, and this is part of Carl Jung's work, that people do not know what time it is. People have no sense of time. So whether it's 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock, whatever, or what date, July 13th or something, or the year. And apparently, and I've never tried it, but apparently a lot of people on TikTok that talk about their dreams, apparently if you try to ask dream people what year it is, that they get really freaked out and they won't answer you. Or sometimes the dream will just like kind of fizzle out or fade out. One girl, she talked about feeling like there was like a dream police that were trying to chase her. They were telling her that she's a time traveler, and it was like really freaky. So anyway, so that's phase 1. Phase 2 is that there's some sort of conflict. So in my dream, there was some family drama. I was crying to my mom, and then she held my hands and we were both crying, and it was like this whole thing. So yeah, there's always going to be some kind of conflict because your mind is trying to figure out what's wrong. And Betty talks about this in her book, that you could actually ask it to, oh, by the way, I found the page about the chakras. It's page 88, where she talks about the colors, and I just passed the other part of the chakras. She goes into every single one, so it's pretty cool. But anyway, she says that you can actually ask for help with solving your problem. So this is on page 31. Here's her little spell. It says, tonight I will have and remember a dream containing information for the solution to this problem. The problem concerns, and then you briefly describe it as objectively as possible. I will now have this dream and will recall, understand, and record it upon awakening. I open myself to the highest possible insight and guidance. Then you go to sleep, completely releasing the situation from your mind, resting in the expectation that you will receive an answer. So that's pretty cool that your dreams are designed to problem solve for you. And that's why there's always going to be a conflict in your dreams, because it's your mind trying to figure it out. And then, okay, here's the chakras. It starts on page 18, but it's like more than a page for each chakra. So if you want to learn more about that, I also do have a chakra guided notebook that you can learn about the chakras and actually work with them, heal so that you're balanced, so you're not blocking them or hyper expressing them. So that's in case you want to know about the chakras. And then on page 29, Betty writes that if you want to remember a dream, just tell yourself you're going to remember and then write it the next day. So you can just write it on a normal piece of paper, but I do also have this Learn to Dream notebook where I have plenty of space for you to reflect on your dreams, write about your dreams, ask specific questions. There are 2 weeks for every section of this book. Instead of going into every single one, I do already on the TikTok, on Bella's Breeze TikTok, but there are the 7 levels of dreams. So again, it takes you from no awareness, not being able to remember your dreams, all the way to lucid dreaming. And this is not to say that you're going to go in order, that you're not going to remember your dreams at all, then remember them a little bit, then see them from a third point of view, having emotional connections, having thoughts in the dream, or like a narrator in the dream, then lucid awareness or lucid dreaming. You're going to be jumping around every night. But that is the best way to remember your dream. And I also have tons and tons of tips in this book on how to remember your dreams better, how to go from stage to stage, and really just tips on how to get you to lucid dream, because the more that you can control your dreams, the better off you are. Which brings me to phase number 3. So phase number 3, going back to the dream, something incredible will happen, like a sudden change. And so for me in this party dream, all of a sudden there's this roller coaster that comes in through the party, but it was like no one could go on it. It was like closed. But it was part of the party, but like people couldn't see it. I don't know how to explain it, but that's why it's like the sudden change. Well, no one's expecting it. But there it is. And so I'm trying to get on this roller coaster and everybody's yelling at me like, don't get on the roller coaster. That roller coaster is not for you. But I'm like, no, I want to get on the roller coaster. So then I climb up, and this is the part about the Redlands house. I think I climbed up on the roof because I always wanted to go onto the roof, and I never did because it was that like Spanish tile, like the clay ones. So I didn't want to break it. So I never went up there. But in my dream, I did. And so from there, I was able to like launch onto the roller coaster, and I was able to go downhill. Like I said, I've been having a lot of dreams of going downhill. And Betty here actually says that going downhill is a bad thing. But I think it's similar to this death card where it's like things have to go down to gain momentum to come back up. And that I actually posted about that on my Instagram as well, that my higher self is so wise because it knows how to bring me to low lows to then come up to high highs. So I'm not really afraid of it. Really quick, I don't think I mentioned about those dreams. Turns out that I have just been trying so hard to be perfect that I've been going downhill trying to be perfect. Like this is like the hill that I've been trying to die on, trying to be perfect so that I won't get in trouble. But in trouble from who? You know, that I have to just like let go of the brakes and just let myself go loose so then I can come back up, because then that makes it more fun, right? So in this dream, I like stop the roller coaster. Like I put my foot out to stop it and I get off once I hit the bottom. But then the people that were working the roller coaster, they're like, oh, like, don't stop the roller coaster, get back on. So then I got back on and ended up being like this water slide. And now that I'm saying it out loud, I've had a lot of dreams about water slides, which, man, everything's coming back to the tarot cards. So they weren't kidding. This is exactly what we're talking about on this show, this episode today. So we have the Knight of Cups, and here is the waterfall in the background. So it's about emotional fulfillment. And then, so for me in that dream, it was probably that I want to go onto this emotional roller coaster, or maybe it's that I want to get off of this emotional roller coaster and just like solve any problems that I may be having. So that's one way to interpret that. But when something strange happens, that's the best time to figure out that you're lucid dreaming. So it's during phase 3. So, what's his name? Carlos Castaneda, Don Juan tells Carlos Castaneda in one of the books to look at your hands. Because when you look at your hands, you'll know that you're in a dream. Like, that could be your sign. So what I've been doing is in waking world, looking at my hands, so then I can get into the habit of looking at my hands, and then that's how I remember that I'm in a dream. Or like I said, when you realize that something super unexpected is happening, then that's how you know you're in a dream as well. Once you get to stage 3, this is the time that you want to lucid dream. This is the time where you want to kind of put everything back together, or you want to somehow integrate it with your conscious self, because that's what's going to get you to stage 4. And according to Carl Jung's research, not many people make it to stage 4. People will normally wake up when the weird thing happens in stage 3, and then the dream will be over. But stage 4 is all about that integration, because the dream is getting presented for some reason. And if you don't understand it the first time, it'll keep coming again and again and again until you finally understand it. And yeah, once you understand it, then it'll give you a new dream to learn about. Because the whole point of dreaming is to get to know yourself so that you can make your future, your waking world dreams come true in the future of the waking world. So yeah, it's all about integrating it, and it's one thing to know something, it's another thing to live it. And that's why I was saying with Bel Esprit, stop trying, just be. The trying part is trying to integrate it. And it's like, no, it already is you. You've been dreaming about this. Just let it come out. Just let it come out of you. Last time that I did this, so I mentioned that I did this whole thing yesterday, and it was just really bad. I'm trying to find the cards that came up, but I'll just tell you about it. They were the Devil and the Tower. And basically, the Devil has the chains around the necks. I went through the whole deck, and I couldn't find it, so it just wasn't meant to be. But it's about like needing to express yourself. And again, that's a big topic that I have here in my book Monterey, about expressing yourself, knowing how to get your voice out, and how to get out of this dark place. Which again, that's who this guy is here on the death card. He's all dressed in black, coming from the dark place, but on a white horse. So yeah, those are the phases of dreams. We talked about, so I'm just going to give you a little bit of facts as we close out. So the facts are coming from this book called The Dictionary of Dreams and Their Meanings. I posted this on Instagram, so you can go see it there. It's really cool. Oh yeah, let me show you. They have really cool pictures in here. So it turns out the Surrealist movement, it was just to show for a way for them to express their dreams. Isn't that so cool? And then by drawing their dreams, that's how they were able to also interpret them and to learn more about themselves. So I want to tell you a quick story that they had here. It was about a Taoist philosopher, Cheng Zhu, and this is like super trippy, so I'm going to leave you with this actually. that one day he had a dream that he was a butterfly and that he had these beautiful wings, that he could feel the warmth of the sun on them and he could taste the nectar of the flowers. And then he woke up and he was like, hey, am I really a man who dreamt all of that about being a butterfly, or am I actually a butterfly who is dreaming that I'm a man? So I was like, oh, that's so trippy, you know? But there is evidence that animals dream. They do enter REM sleep, and you could even see that, or for my little dogs, their little paws will move like as if they're running. They also talk about babies dreaming, and how Betty talks about this in her book too, that dreaming is really just a way to recharge and to get back in connection with the spiritual world. And that's how you know that we're spiritual beings, because we will literally die if we don't sleep. Like, we can get so sick if we don't like keep that connection. And then they say that that is what death is that when you dream, you go to the spirit realm, but you still have this tether to your actual body. But when you die, that's when that tether is cut. Your body stays here on earth and becomes part of the earth again, and then your soul will stay up there in the spirit realm. So yeah, that is what I have for you today. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, wait, before we go, I wanted to explain why we're talking about dreams. So here on Grounded Spirits, it's a place to learn how to stay rooted while flying high. So what's the best way to stay rooted is by learning how to fly in your dreams, which I have before, and it's the most fun thing ever. So by enjoying ourselves and allowing ourselves to dream, or learning how to dream, like with my book here, by doing these things, we're going to be able to learn more about ourselves. And what better way to learn? Oh, wait, sorry, I messed that up. What better way to stay grounded or to stay rooted than by learning about ourselves, like Thoth taught us? So now we can say goodbye. I will see you next time. And that's it.